Ole Miss will blast the LSU Tigers. I have the answer key before Saturday's test.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, the most watched Ole Miss podcast out there. I'm your host, Stephen Willis, a 10-year veteran member of the national media with Yahoo Sports and a former Ole Miss staff member as well. On today's show, we will break down why Ole Miss is primed to take down the LSU Tigers and their $18 million transfer portal roster. I'll share my game picks, highlight the key props to watch of the game, and explain why the right team is favored going into Saturday. We'll also take a closer look at Trinidad Chambliss and why his ability to distribute the ball in Lane Kiffin's system makes this offense actually tougher to defend than it was in 2024. These are the type of matchup advantages that could make the difference for the Rebels this weekend. All of this and more on today's Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Remember, we're free and available in all the podcast apps and on YouTube. Thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen every day, and a special hello to the insiders and everydayers who make the show what it is. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every single detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for the highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. I think Ole Miss is going to win this game against LSU. And before LSU fans, you get all upset. I do this before every game that Ole Miss plays. This video happens, the Why Ole Miss Wins video. So it's not a threat or anything bad against the LSU fans. You guys are cool. C. Rogers is always down in the comments. We're cool. But I think Ole Miss is going to win this game because they have a lot of stuff actually going in their favor and so stuff that they can kind of look back at in this game to pull from to make this, I don't know, an exclamation point be put on top of it. Most of all, before we get into it, this LSU team reminds me so much of last year's Ole Miss team. Now, that team from last year for Ole Miss was uber talented, but they lost 3 games that they were favored in. They shouldn't have lost one. They had a 12-0 roster, and they went 9-3 with it. One of those was a loss to LSU. I think the secret in this game, and I've said this over the course of the week, will be to let the pressure be the enemy of the LSU Tigers. If this is a one-score game in the fourth quarter, when LSU starts worrying about actually getting beat, like Ole Miss did a year ago, all of a sudden it can spiral on you and you can end up losing the game. End up not making plays that you normally would. End up making silly decisions over the course of the game that can get you beat. As long as you play it straight and get into a one-possession game in the fourth quarter, that pressure can rise. And we saw how crippling that pressure could be whenever Ole Miss had it just a year ago. That is a main factor in this ball game, in my opinion. Now, if you look at the reason why Ole Miss is going to win this game, I think Trinidad Chambliss, he's going to be successful against LSU because people don't know how to handle him and they don't know what's happening. They see all of that and they assume it's another Jackson Dart or an Austin Simmons, and they're not doing anything different because Trinidad's putting up the numbers that are the equivalent of what they're doing, but it's not exactly the same thing. We'll talk about more about that in the next segment. And second of all, I saw something against the Tulane Green Wave, especially against the run, that makes me think this defense is actually starting to get it up front. They're starting to grow up a little bit. Kam Franklin and Princewill Umanmielen and William Eccles and Xavier Harris and Jam Brown, those guys, they're kind of starting to get it. That's the way it feels like. They're starting to protect linebackers a little bit more. We talked in the offseason about how important it is to force double teams to keep offensive linemen off of the linebackers. TJ Dottery, he's the best linebacker Ole Miss has. He needs to have a clear run. You have Jaden Yates, who was the SEC Defensive Player of the Week. He had 10 tackles last week against Tulane. He played very well. This front seven and I call it front seven, it's basically run defense when I say that, is starting to get it. And if you take away LSU's running game and make Garrett Nussmeier one-dimensional, that is how you beat LSU. Once the run game starts, the tight end opens up, then next thing you know, it's Barry and Brown catching long passes, and Garrett Nussmeier can kind of go to work whenever you don't have that going on. But if you can take away the run game and force him to be one-dimensional, that's going to force 2nd and 8s. That's going to force 3rd and 10s. And once you get those long yardage situations, Pete Golding can work. And I think Ole Miss, once again, even though they're playing against a very good defense with a D2 quarterback, which that's actually hilarious because you're hearing that from the LSU. That's the LSU side talking point. A D2 quarterback against an $18 million roster. A D2 quarterback against an $18 million roster. That this has the potential to be the all-time backfire in this series. I think Ole Miss will take care of the ball. Keep LSU from forcing turnovers. He's not going to have a day similar to DJ Lagway and force the Tigers to have to drive the ball down a long field. Now, they will score some because Garrett Nussmeier is the only returning quarterback from last year that threw for 4,000 yards. But if you have to drive the length of the field, the advantage goes to the defense, because in college sports, a very smart strategy is make them work play after play, and they will mess up eventually. Make them have to play perfect. Make them be difficult to beat. And offensively, LSU has not done that over the course of this year. If you make them drive, they will likely make mistakes, and they will at least have to kick field goals. We heard from press conference this week that Pete Golding, he's about the points, not the yards so much. This running game and all of that is going to be a big key for Ole Miss. I mean, it's going to be really big. The keys from Tuesday we had is to stop the running the football, force explosive plays on defense, have sacks, tackles for loss, turnovers. That'll be massive in a fairly low-scoring game, which I think it will be. And Ole Miss has to play a clean game. So that's when I went on that one. And then the what to watch for situated. LSU is the Ole Miss from 2024, which I talked about. You can force that pressure on LSU. That pressure can make diamonds, but it can also crush you. And the defense affecting Garrett Nussmeier will be key as this game. It is the likely easiest path. And do not under any circumstance give LSU a short field. Make them drive to score. That means don't turn the ball over. Don't go for it. Don't do all of that stuff. Make LSU have to drive the ball 75-plus yards every time they get it, and you're going to be all right. And I think Ole Miss is going to do that. I genuinely think Ole Miss is going to do that. Because whenever you're playing with a backup quarterback, and make no mistake, as good as Trinidad Chambliss has been, Ole Miss is playing with a backup quarterback. And you are a 1.5 favorite over the number 4 team in the country with a backup quarterback. I mean, that's very positive to your team mindset of what's going on. The line hasn't moved over the course of the week. Literally all I can see, there's a pundit here and there, don't get me wrong. But the LSU people, the Louisiana people, are supremely confident in LSU. You saw that with Matt Moscona yesterday. Him doing his thing. He's supremely confident. He thinks not only is Ole Miss going to get beat by LSU, but LSU is going to win the game pretty easily. It's going to be a pretty comfortable day for the Bayou Bengals. Everybody in Louisiana, they feel really good about it. That is the reason. Get this thing to the fourth quarter and watch the pressure rise and see if Garrett Nussmeier can make that on the road. See if that offensive line that has been a little bit patchwork, they've been difficult this year. See if they can pick up that defensive line. See what is schemed up by Pete Golding. If you can do all that, you have the weapons to score points. You have that, because what Trinidad Chambliss is, everybody wants him to be Jackson Dart or Matt Corral. Trinidad Chambliss is an athletic game manager. He is a ball distributor. He is somebody that gets the football to the explosive elite athletes that Ole Miss has on all points of the field. It's not a situation like with Jackson Dart where he'd get locked in on Trey Harris. Trey's down there somewhere, throw it up. Or Austin Simmons pushing the ball downfield. You saw that early in the season with Harrison Wallace. He is an athletic game manager. And we will tell you exactly what we mean by that when we come up next. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. To those who believe it's just not about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than just put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, keep moving the game forward. This week, that moment happened with Deuce Alexander on the sideline. His long touchdown catch from Trinidad Chambliss once again showed elite body control to make a similar catch that he made earlier in that game and he made last week against Arkansas. This has been a major spark plug as defenses are trying to figure out who they need to double. They have not figured that out yet. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to every Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Do us a favor, like, subscribe, and comment on the video. Subscribe to whichever podcast you're listening to on whichever audio podcast you're listening on, and give it a 5-star review. It costs absolutely nothing, but helps keep all of this free. If you want more, join the Insiders program at the subtext link down below. No trolls, 14-day free trial, and the easiest way ever to cancel. Give that a try. And if you don't, forget to check out a second listen on the network. Nearly every team, college or pro, is ready for you. So one thing that you've heard this week is this is a D2 quarterback against an $18 million roster or an $18 million transfer portal class. LSU's defense is the best defense potentially in the country. LSU's defense is the best that this D2 quarterback is going to be able to see. Well, why am I not worried about the D2 quarterback over LSU's defense? It's because you're not asking the D2 quarterback to win the game. You're counting on the other weapons that you have to make plays for him. And he becomes a point guard. He becomes a ball distributor. He becomes just a game manager. Now, whenever you hear that word, it's kind of an ugly word from time to time. But a game manager is actually a good thing and something that all quarterbacks should root that they get called, essentially. What has happened is the term game manager, people have just assumed that, oh, he doesn't have the special attributes to take over a game, so he needs help. That's not it. Lane Kiffin has really good skill players. He always does. That's one of the things that Lane Kiffin has done really well since he's been in Oxford, Mississippi, is attract skill players. And once the transfer portal happened, it really took off. But he also has the mindset, and he did even in Alabama, to feed your stars. If your best player is really good, try and get him as many touches of the football as humanly possible. We all saw that. Jackson Dart's like Trey Harris is down there somewhere. Let's just throw it up and see what happens. You saw it earlier this season with Austin Simmons. Harrison Wallace is down there somewhere. Let's just throw it up and see what happens. Trinidad Chambliss is operating a little bit differently because they don't do that with him. They are taking advantage of all the weapons that are at Lane Kiffin's disposal and putting the defense in conflict all over the field because you can't point. It's like this guy's going to probably get 40% of the touches on offense. And LSU did that a year ago with Trey Harris. Whenever Ole Miss would get caught and get stuck in the duck and chuck mentality to Trey Harris, LSU was ready for it. Trinidad doesn't operate like that. You could not tell right now who Trinidad Chambliss's favorite receiver is through 2 games because he spread it around so much over the course of each game. I think against Arkansas, he had eight or nine receivers caught a ball. Against Tulane, he had 7 or 8 or something like that. Trinidad spreads the ball around to these elite weapons, which means it's not so simple as, hey, double team that guy and we are going to be all right, because they're not necessarily going to go to this other guy, and they're definitely not going to progress much past that. That's just the way it's worked under Lane Kiffin. Trinidad Chambliss is a different animal. He hits his running back checkdowns, which is something we hardly ever see. He has use of multiple tight ends that are available. His wide receivers, he uses Deuce Alexander. I've seen him catch the ball. Harrison Wallace III, seen him a couple times. Deshaun Stribling, Caden Lee. You don't know who is going to get the ball on any given play, which makes him a true point guard, which makes him a true game manager. And that is where other teams going up against Trinidad make the mistake. They assume that Trinidad Chambliss is going to be just like a similar type player to Austin Simmons, a similar type player to Jackson Dart, a similar type player to Matt Corral. No, they're not. They are completely different. All that Trinidad Chambliss does that those other quarterbacks do or doesn't do, depending on how you put it, is take care of the ball, to focus on turnovers. And they all throw the deep ball fairly well. Trinidad, very, very good, by the way. 33% of his passes are deep passes or something like that, and they're completing them. He's doing an unbelievable job at quarterback. But when Brian Kelly says that Austin Simmons and Trinidad Chambliss are similar quarterbacks, that shows you that Brian Kelly doesn't know what he's seeing. He's seeing somebody that's throwing the ball. He's seeing some of the pass concepts that are popping up that are similar, but these are different quarterbacks. They're doing different things than even Austin Simmons. And Austin Simmons has all the talent in the world. You've heard me talk about it. I think he's a 1-1 level quarterback, but he does not do this yet. And let's be real about something. For Ole Miss to truly hit their ceiling this season or next season, Austin Simmons playing like Trinidad did in the first two games is absolutely key. Hitting every zone of passing, quick pass, deep pass, hitting different targets to where you can't lock in. Trinidad Chambliss is basically giving a roadmap to Austin Simmons on how to be successful before that game at Athens in Georgia, before that game in Norman at Oklahoma. It'll be really interesting to see exactly what this Ole Miss offense looks like against LSU. Because as much as they joke about it, a D2 quarterback against the best defense that D2 quarterback is going to see over the course of the season, potentially, there's a chance that it's a bridge too far. There is a chance that this speeds him up faster than he is comfortable going. But when you take into account the game manager aspect, the distributor aspect, the way that it's not on Trinidad's shoulders to make big plays, to take over the game, to win the game, the point guard aspect of what's going on, if they take away one receiver, somebody else should be open. And LSU is really good defensively. Whit Weeks is an All-American. Harold Perkins, very good rusher, as we've seen. He's been at LSU for like 17 years at this point. LSU defensively is really good. So it comes down to whether or not Lane Kiffin can scheme up some stuff and use his game manager. Listen, Ole Miss lost the game, okay? Ole Miss lost this game in 2020. But whenever Lane Kiffin really respects the defense that he is about to go up against, when he truly respects that defense, you see them hit a different gear. And my example for that is the 2020 Ole Miss Alabama game. Now, defensively, Ole Miss could not stop a nosebleed in that game. But offensively, they were really good. They were epic. They ran the ball for nearly 300 yards. They got it all together. And this is because there was some stuff schematically that we just haven't seen before or since that Alabama game. And it's because of how much Lane Kiffin wanted to win the game against Nick Saban. He just wanted to beat him one time. Now, Brian Kelly and LSU, they had not won in Oxford. And LSU has not won this decade in Oxford. And traditionally, when Ole Miss isn't dealing with probation or just having a bad team, the home team usually wins in this series. I think I saw that on X. And this game is going to be an absolute zoo. atmospherically. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be loud. It's going to be crazy. Everybody's excited for this game, including LSU fans and Ole Miss fans. Everybody thinks they're going to win. Everybody that is in that stadium is walking in with 100% certainty that they're about to win the football game. And because of that, you have the chance for a jubilation in this. You have a chance for a raucous environment. You have a chance for Trinidad to kind of make plays, running the ball, getting first downs, keeping that LSU defense on the field to the point where it's a one-touchdown game in the fourth quarter, one way or another. All you need is a one-score game. You just need a tight game in the fourth quarter and watch the pressure get to LSU. Watch it weigh on them. Watch that 600-pound bear get on their back. I saw it happen. I saw this movie a year ago. Watch LSU go through that exact same thing. And we'll see how it goes. Anyway. So, in our final segment is prediction time for Ole Miss and LSU. What do you have to know about this game? We'll tell you coming up after this. You know, it's almost the weekend. It's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving money every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss delivered in a big way. It was an early third down. Trinidad broke contain and scrambled for a long run, leading to a touchdown en route to just an absolute destruction of Tulane. When the pressure was on, he came through. No hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching week after week, because there's only two, this performance was not a fluke. Trinidad Chambliss is on a streak. And just like Trinidad Chambliss delivered for the Ole Miss Rebels, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You can save every Saturday you order, stack it all up all season, and you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period runs through November 18th. And did you know caffeine just got a flavor upgrade? 5-Hour Energy Shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients, all with zero sugar and zero crashes. What I love most is how portable they are. They're big taste, tiny shot. You can take it absolutely anywhere and get that boost when you absolutely need it. Honestly, I love how fast it kicks in and that it's sugar-free, so you don't have to worry about crashing out a little bit later. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-Hour Energy Shots. Get the favorites you love or be bold and try something new. In-store and online at 5hourenergy.com. That's the number 5hourenergy.com, or order it at Amazon today. This game has a lot of chance to be a lot of fun. I mean, it really does. I'm not talking 2023 fun because that game was an abomination and basically took 5 years off everybody's life. I don't think we're hitting that point. I don't think we're hitting the drunk game portion of the broadcast, but I do think it's going to be a relatively close, relatively low scoring game that is just hard fought over the course of the day. I think it was 1989. I saw Ole Miss and LSU play in Oxford. John Darnell, who's the color commentator for the radio broadcast, threw a pass up at the end. There was a ball in the air in the end zone that got dropped incomplete. It fell incomplete, and LSU won the game 35-30. I don't know why that sticks in my head, but games in Oxford against LSU, I don't know if I've actually seen Ole Miss win one of those games, just like the games I've decided to go to in periods of time like that. I've seen them beat LSU in Jackson several times, but in Oxford, I have not. Just like I said, it just happened to work out that way. Maybe it's because I was mainly there from whenever Ed Orgeron was the coach and when LSU had the best team in all of college football, because I was also at the 2019 game. But it's interesting. This game could be a lot of fun, especially with Trinidad Chambliss always joke is like Ole Miss is about to take LSU to Trinidad. That's kind of my thing. So we'll see exactly how that goes. Now, the players to watch in this game is obviously Trinidad Chambliss, who it has pretty good stats over the course of the season. He's thrown for over 700 yards. His taking care of the ball will be the most important thing. Deuce Alexander is somebody that I'm paying attention to in this game as well. Against Tulane, he had 4 catches, 94 yards, and a touchdown, including 2 pretty big diving catches as well. And third of all is Sage Ryan. The guy catches stray after stray after stray. He's just a whipping boy for everything that happened defensively. I just don't get it. He's played pretty well for Ole Miss. I've not seen any of the liability for Sage Ryan. I have a feeling Sage is going to be really up, and Pete Golding, if he's smart, will call a safety blitz or 2 in this game to get Sage Ryan free as well. Right now, Ole Miss is a 1.5-point favorite over LSU. The over-under has dropped down another point. It's down to where it was at the beginning of the week. It's 54.5. They're predicting a 28-27 game, something like that. It's like a 22-23 game, something like that. 24-21 maybe is what they're looking at. So that is what they think the score line will be. Vegas has been pretty consistent. All the money came in on LSU early on. LSU had 70% of the money on bet and a large number of bets, but it's kind of evened out over the course of the week as you started to see what was going on. Now, prediction time. I think Ole Miss is going to pull this game out. I think Ole Miss is going to win it 24-17. I think LSU is not going to get on track offensively. I do think they're going to absolutely blow somebody out over the course of this season. You just hope it's not you. But if this LSU team is kind of playing the same notes as the 2024 Ole Miss team, they lose this game and they blow out somebody, Arkansas, something like that. So we'll see exactly what happens there and how it works out for Ole Miss. Now, thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves in offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we're the front door of Ole Miss. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the show and is absolutely free. Your support means the world to us. Also, in another big moment for Locked On, college football fans, Locked On and Fire TV are presenting College Football Kickoff. It is your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. I was on it this week. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. Hotty toddy, everybody. Remember, analytics is just the old English word that means bad football. We'll see you tomorrow.